Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at what is most definitely a brand new release that has just come out. Like right now, definitely not a long time ago. This is the Marvel Legends Retro Card Webman, which is kind of just an inverted Spider-Man with slightly different colors. So it's not a whole lot to talk about. That's why it wasn't really high on my agenda, but I did want to review it for you guys in case you wanted to track it down and we're Googling reviews or YouTubing reviews. So here it is. Let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 6 3/8 inches, which makes him pretty close to 16 1/4 centimeters, right around there, 16.25 if you guys want to get all sciencey. And so that's fine. It's Marvel Legends size. We've seen this body a million times. It has its fair share of flaws. But before we get into the aesthetic, let's do a quick question of the day. Who is your favorite Spider-Man artist? For me, I think I'd have to go with Todd McFarlane, but I do have a particular fondness, which I bring up because I'm pretty sure he drew this guy, this particular character. Stephen Butler I like because it was kind of like Todd McFarlane's work, but not quite, and I like that. Anyway, let's talk about the aesthetics. This body has some of the best detail sculpt work for anatomy that Hasbro has released. However, it also has some of the worst proportions and problems. The tiny little shoulders on top of the weird arms with the sunken in chest on the edges and the super low shoulders. Lots of problems going on. Luckily, you can pose away a lot of those, but the specific detail work on this sculpt is way less blocky and weird looking than most. You can see the quads look pretty good. You get the muscles in here, but you do get the really bubbly looking arm, and it's fairly well hidden on this guy because of the webbing, but it is definitely a situation where the proportioning is quite strange. If I just stand him there for you, it doesn't look very superhero-esque. It's very strange looking with those low, tiny shoulders. That's unfortunate. Also with the really boxy head on this guy, which it's not those eyes are not the eyes that I've ever seen Webman. Not that I've seen a lot of Webman, but I've never seen those eyes. I've always seen them look like these eyes right there. So that's very bothersome to me that we get these one-offs, but they don't even bother making a new head. They just repaint it and throw it in a package and tell us to buy it. And unfortunately, most people do without questioning, and that's what's got us into this situation that we're in. On top of that, on top of the weirdness there, like most of the webbing is really good. If you look at the torso there, webbing's super clean. No real issues. On the back, there's less of it, but it's pretty clean. It's nice around the belt. On the legs, it looks more like netting. It doesn't really look webby at all. It looks mostly square. Down on the feet, we get some good web shapes, but on the calves, it's fairly square. Same thing for the arms. It just looks like mesh. I don't think that's the way he was drawn. I really don't. But if that's the case, then fine. You can just ignore that. But here's what really bothers me on the head. Instead of connecting, like, that's typically how Spider-Man's face is done. I'll point with the ruler so you can see. The way the web lines that go down around his chin, they go up to the center point as if between the eyes is the center point and they all spin out from there. That's not what's happening on this guy. Look at these lines. Like this line over here, the one that connects under his eye, that's not even close to connecting to the center point. And that has screwed up the web pattern on his head completely. By the time you get over here, we're just missing chunks. It's not even web shaped. It's huge. It's totally screwed up. It doesn't look right at all. I hate the head on this guy a lot. And on top of the other proportioning issues, it's a big problem. But here's the reason those problems stand out for me on this one. It looks so damn good otherwise. They really did a good job with the colors. The molded plastic is good enough. The blue paint is really clean. The webbing is iffy, but still, like, clean enough. Like, this figure had a chance to look really good, and considering it was a straight-up repaint, there are no new parts in this figure. They really have no excuse to crap the bed on anything. Anything, and they did, so that's a big bummer. One other thing about the body I want to point out, I don't know if I ever really mentioned it, I think I did once. The way they have this part stick out really kills the look of the figure. Men don't have that, really no one has that. This should not be sticking out right there. It looks like he's got some kind of tumor or something. Like, that's just not good. I get why they did that because I know what's there anatomy-wise, but it doesn't do that, and it shouldn't be sticking out past, like, the pecs. Certainly not past the ab. It just looks really weird. So, a very generous 7 out of 10 for the aesthetics on this guy. The clean paintwork saved it. The color saved it, but they really didn't do a good job in a lot of ways, which is unfortunately not surprising. For the accessories, prepare to be disappointed. Hands are okay. We have 2 fist hands, 2 wall crawling hands, and 2 whipping hands. That's all nice. No web accessory. So, you know, pretty limited there. They really put 0 effort into this release. 5 out of 10 for accessories. Not okay. Alright, let's talk about the articulation. Even though it's not going to be new since we've seen this body before. He can look up. It's really messed up here for the paint job, but I'm guessing that's just mine because it's only that one spot, by the way, so I didn't bother including it. He can look up nicely. Oops. Professionalism. He can look down nicely. Man, I love the colors. They did such a good job on this. Why did they have to also do such a bad job on this? It does look to the side, of course, full rotation. Little bit of attitude. We are still using the old hinge and ball peg combo. Butterfly joint is functional on this guy. I will give him that. It doesn't look good because it screws up the chest anatomy big time. But you can get his arms like pretty much all the way back. That's very, very nice. And they go pretty far forward as well. They did a good job with the butterfly joint, but it should be sculpted way different. The shoulders, they're really a pain in the ass to use, especially considering they're not well implemented anyway. They're really low. Anyway, I can't get it to go any higher than that. I remember previous releases. Yeah, okay, this one's doing it. So this one you can go up. I can't get this one to go. Consider this the norm though, so I'll stick with that. So they go up horizontal, that's fine. You do get your full rotation, of course. Bicep swivel is fine. They did not paint the nubbins, so we have blue nubbins in there. That's not garish at all. Elbow joint is still pretty blah. Like, there's no reason that shouldn't be a lot better than 90 degrees, but it's not. It's just not. Not good. I'm also realizing this is molded blue right here and painted red, which I can see it now. This is a little bit shinier and slightly off, but that's a really good job. They did a good job matching that. I didn't notice that before, because some of the blue is painted and then some of the red is painted, but they did a good job of blending it. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. Ab crunch goes back. The web is painted underneath. We have all full paint job under there, so that's okay, but he does have that weird situation where when he bends back, he becomes pregnant. So that looks terrible. Why can't we get action figures that look good? Like, if nothing else, the sculpts should be good. If nothing else. But on these, like, this one has decent enough paint, but most of them don't. Most of them don't pose all that well, and the sculpture pad. What are we buying these for, guys? This is insulting. What is that? Look at it. That's Spider-Man. And his child, apparently, because he's about to give birth. He does lean forward nicely, that's okay. But even then, you can see the radius is just jacked. The way they do their ab crunch is not good. Alright, waist twist is fine. Bringing the legs forward, they go up horizontal, that is fine. They have just a touch of back, so that's okay. Going out to the side, better than almost all Marvel Legends, so I do like that one. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee works nicely. We do have a very nicely hidden boot swivel, thanks to the color changes. Ankles go all the way back and all the way forward. That's probably the best thing about this figure. The ankles work really nicely, and you have a really solid ankle rocker on them. So articulation is acceptable. It's not great. It's certainly not Spider-Man level great. 7 out of 10 for Marvel Legends. There's nothing special going on here. Also, I think it's either just because of the low shoulders and low small shoulders, or it's actually that the head is too big. Something's off about the proportioning here. Alright, fine. I'll do a Photoshop. We'll see if I can make it look better without changing the head and just raising the shoulders. But I don't know. There's so much wrong with this figure that's very disappointing when it just doesn't need to be. And it's also disappointing because I'm reviewing like basically the same figure every time I review Marvel Legends. I know they have a few different bodies, but how many at this point compared to how many figures have they released? I feel like at some point we're to the point where, like, how about some more new molds? I know they're starting to do that again, but for how long are we going to be stuck with those molds? I feel like as many figures as they release, as much money as they seem to be making, we should be getting at least some more new molds, like a new head for this guy or something. I don't know, guys. I feel like we're just not getting our money's worth out of these Marvel Legends anymore. You guys can let me know how you feel about that in the comments section below. But I'm going to give it a final rating of a generous 7 out of 10. It should be so much better than it is, but it's acceptable as it is. It's not good. It's just not that bad. So There it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.